CFR Network, CFR News, Shalom, Balance, Bonjour, Hola, Ni hao, Wassalam, all of the universal greetings. Trustfully, everybody's well. Thank yourself for tuning into the broadcast, and thank yourself, most importantly, for surviving the zombie apocalypse. We are still here, and it's a beautiful time to be alive. I have a globe trekking guest with me today. I have the one and only Tommy Sabbatical. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and surviving.
Definitely. Well, look, I mean, you have still been traveling pretty much in certain parts throughout the tumultuous period that we've had for the 2 years. So traveling, I know obviously in certain of your videos and stuff, you've had to be very much masked up and stuff. So like what was your experience over this sort of period? And ultimately, how much of an effect did it have on you doing these wonderful vlogs?
That's an interesting question. I would say, well, first off, especially back in 2020 when I started, at the very end of 2020, I tried to specifically look for countries where, the mask restrictions weren't that bad. I'm not like an anti-mask or anything, but I'd prefer to go somewhere where, life is as close to being normal as possible. So that was countries like Mexico, Tanzania, other African countries weren't that bad either. But some of them in there, especially I remember Kenya and also especially Rwanda. Rwanda was the worst.
I remember.
You don't mess around in Rwanda. That's a very strict country. Yeah, I guess you just have to get used to it. I mean, thankfully, I've lived in Asia before, in China, and I've also done a lot of traveling in Japan and a few countries. And over there, even before the pandemic, it was normal for people to wear masks, like when they have a cold or something like that. So wearing a mask wasn't like that unusual to me, and wasn't that like horrific. But it's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yes,
challenging. Yeah. But then what I also noticed in countries besides Rwanda, like especially Mexico, Nigeria, I'm not trying to call them out or anything, but they'd have these rules for like masks, and then nobody would follow them. Everybody would be just doing their own thing. And that's what you learn. Yeah, that's what you learn when you get there. You just kind of flow with whatever the local people are doing.
And that's a key thing, I think, for a big takeaway from watching yourself and other solo backpackers. Number one, let me rephrase that, not backpackers, travelers. That's an antiquated phrase and terminology. So travelers, especially on your own, I salute every one of you for number one, having the gumption, the courage, and the tenacity to actually, it's troubling enough just getting on a plane and traveling to a new country, new foods, new cultures, never mind doing it on your own. So like what inspired you to have that kind of like get up and go to do it?
Yeah, well, this is, I mean, when I say in these videos, I'm not sure if I said this, but I've dreamed like my entire life of doing this, or I feel like I'm designed to do this. Like, I'm not kidding. At the first chance I got, I mean, I had to save up money. I don't come from a rich family, but I worked, saved up money. And when I was 18, like I got on a plane to Mexico, and I just, traveled around, and like, it's a crazy experience when you do it for the first time, but like anything else, I guess you start to learn like the rules of the road, like how to adapt, whatnot. But I think what really helped me more than anything is just like this love I developed for language learning. Because if you can do that, if you can like understand what's being said to you, you can build bigger connections with the people that you meet in these countries. And a lot of things start to feel a lot less scary if you can understand what's being said to you. You can understand the warnings that are being given to you, so you don't go a certain way. Sometimes I do
Mm.
anyway, but uh, you can, you learn like how nice and friendly people are. One of the most shocking things while shooting these videos, which I wasn't fully aware of before I made them, was just how absolutely friendly people are in
Mm.
Mexico and Brazil and Africa. That's absolutely not something you expect before going there. Because Brazil and Mexico in particular, you just hear about like gangs and drug cartels and stuff like that.
Unfortunately, I mean, again, you're highlighting something which should be, especially in the growing year of 2022. We
Yeah.
cannot allow legacy media to dictate our idea and perceptions of the world and of people. We have to experience it for ourselves and then form our own opinions, whether it be a prejudice, whether it be actually, you know what, these people are kind of cool, or
Yeah, exactly. It's I think there will be hopefully a change with that. Um, but it is pretty interesting, even in legacy media, I guess, especially in legacy media, because they got to sell
yeah.
ads, they got to sell headlines, and unfortunately, what sells is war in Africa, drug cartels in Mexico and South America. Uh, and then most people never get beyond that because drug cartels sound pretty scary. So does war.
Yes.
um, and for the average person, when you have like one or max two vacations per year, you're probably not going to choose to go to like a country you heard that has wars and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah. But let's look at it this way as well. Let's play righteous advocate. The wilderness of North America, or the United States of America, comprises of multiple different states. And within those multiple states, we have nice areas and we have bad areas. Particularly
yeah,
where you're based, we have, again, very bad areas. We have nice areas. Currently, for what I'm seeing on legacy media and on boots on the ground, there seems to be a tremendous rise in violence around young youth in the inner city, especially with guns and stuff.
you talking about in the United States?
Yes.
Oh well, yeah, we've had issues with gun violence since the inception of this country, I think. And yes, I mean we're also infamous for having tensions
Mm,
amongst different groups, as you may know,
indeed.
and police bossing around people,
Yeah.
minorities in particular. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's been an uptick recently. I think I've heard of like a shoot up in crime. Uh, it's like I actually what I usually do is I try to actively avoid American
Yes.
politics. It just, nothing good comes from it. It's like my favorite, just that's another thing. Like I took that I especially learned in Africa and these other countries that like we're all the same,
Mm,
right? And it's like when we start harping on just crime in the inner cities and stuff like that, I don't know. People have like strong opinions, and then all of a sudden it goes crazy. So, but yes, to answer your question, yeah, there's definitely problems in the United States too, and I've I've actually like thought about making a few videos in the US because a lot of people will leave comments like, Tommy, why are you going to like this area in Brazil or this area in Africa and showing the poverty or whatever, which is absolutely not my goal. Uh, they're like,
Well,
why don't you
no,
show
it
this in the
isn't.
US?
Yes, no,
Yeah,
no, just to pause
yeah,
you on that. It isn't because we see it's about, the humanization, it's the interaction, it's the this isn't what you thought it was. Look, I'm clearly an outsider in this place, and people are quite friendly. They're asking me, do I need help? Do I need assistance? They give me directions. They're taking me places. So
yeah,
it's far from it.
yeah, yeah. It's exactly that. Um, so yeah, in terms of I don't know, showing bad areas in the US, I may still do that at some point. I have like a few video ideas, I guess, in my head, but it's not at the
It's
top of my list.
yeah.
And but the
I,
main thing I want to express is like I like if I show these things in other countries, it absolutely does not mean that I think like America is better. I have so many critiques of the
mm.
United States. Like every time I come back to New York and take the subway, I'm like, why do we have the worst subway in the world in the city? Um, I mean, it's my city, I'm still gonna love it, but there's a lot of critiques
Well, Tommy, at least it's functioning. You know,
Yeah,
the only tubes we've got is down in London. Outside of that, we've got nothing. They're all above ground. So like you've got something.
interesting. Okay. I
It's a
thought,
very
oh
much
yeah,
an antiquated system of transportation we have here in England. In Europe, it's a lot better, especially cost wise. It's a lot cheaper. I think in Great Britain, it's one of the highest in regards to public transportation and stuff. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We pay by the liter versus per gallon. So
yeah,
you can appreciate well you can appreciate the kind of cost that we're incurring over here. So it's
yeah,
challenging, but again, it's swings and roundabouts because you go to quote unquote developing countries, aka third world countries. I mean, I don't know, understand this first world, second world, third world thing, but a quote unquote developing country, and things are different there. But as you can attest to, the sense of community, the sense of living, actually really living, is a lot more apparent versus when we go to a Western country and everyone's just it's just
yeah,
go. You know, there's no time for anybody.
yeah. I think that's kind of a theme I've been trying to, I guess, unintentionally express in my videos. There seems to be almost like this inverse correlation between countries that people think are dangerous and countries that are full of really fun, friendly people,
Mhm.
which is not to downplay like the dangers at all. There are like legitimately dangerous places in these countries, but you know, like if I was gonna pick a place to like spend my week and just hang out, I would pick Jamaica and Kenya any day over New York, to
Yes.
be honest.
Yes.
And there really is just it's like a different way of viewing life, I think.
Mhm.
um and like in South America, like they'll tell you like, why work so hard when I can just relax right now? I mean, very
Yeah.
simplified way of saying it.
Very simplistic, very simplistic.
Yeah, and I mean, you could judge that, but it's really just like a different philosophy of life. I mean, like who's happier in the end? In New York and California, especially in the US, it's extremely competitive, it's extremely expensive.
Mhm.
And if you're not working your ass off, then yeah, I don't know how happy you are in this city.
This is, I mean, what can you do? I mean, it's the cost of living, especially, I mean, the gentrification of parts of New York, Harlem and stuff. It's out of this world, and the prices. Like, where are these people going, Tommy? Like, all of these $1 million complexes and penthouses, and like all these people are moving in. That's fair enough, but where are these the people who originally lived there maybe 5, 10 years ago? Where have they been pushed to just like maybe to New Jersey or just to other boroughs within the area?
um that's a good question. I'm not completely sure, but I've heard like they're moving the public housing to the Bronx, which
Uh,
is the northernmost borough of New York City. uh Stuff like that.
hmm,
But it's getting pretty insane out there. What was shocking to me was that even after the pandemic, I would have expected there to be like a price crash
hmm.
in the city, but there's barely been any movement. It's you're looking at like at least $4,000 a month rent wise if you want to live in Manhattan. And I was just walking around Manhattan a couple of days ago, and I compare this. What's interesting is I was in Sao Paulo just like a week before that. Sao Paulo is, I mean, it has expensive parts, but like a lot of it is half the price of New
Yeah,
York City,
yeah,
and it's cleaner.
yeah,
It's like the metro is nicer. You have like all these services that are basically first world, and
yes.
then I come back to New York and I look at all this and I'm like, why are people paying all this money? uh,
It's weird. Was that the place where you were saying and the metro system is subsidized partly by the government or something like that?
um,
S-
oh, that was Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, the metro there is effectively free, which I mean, like that actually is a good thing. The problem is Argentina keeps going broke, so I don't know if they can afford that. But Uh, Brazil seems to be a little bit better at managing their finances. So yeah, like their metro is like going fine. And it's still pretty affordable from what I
Yeah.
saw. A lot cheaper than New York, for example.
Totally. What was the impotence to go to Jamaica? Because I didn't see that. When I saw the video pop up, I was thinking, you was just in you was
Yeah,
nowhere in the Caribbean. How have we just landed there?
yeah, um, yeah. Jamaica was always on the top of my list, and I might have even gone there earlier, but yeah, they had some pretty severe COVID restrictions
Yes,
going
and
on.
curfews
So
and stuff as well, yeah.
yeah, I really wanted to wait on that one. So yeah, I did 5 African countries, and I wanted to do something different for a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh, Different, but a country that I think everyone would still enjoy.
Yes.
And I think Jamaica fit the bill for that. So
100%. I mean, that funeral that you attended as well.
yeah, yeah, that was just amazing.
Yes.
Because like nothing in my videos is like scripted for the most part. I really was just like driving along
Mhm.
on that road. I stop in
Yeah.
this place, and they just invite me to all these different things,
Yes.
including a funeral, and it was just amazing. I mean, and the way that like they would celebrate like death,
L-
and I emphasize celebrate. It's just again like a different philosophy. It's like okay, this doesn't have to be sad. Why don't we all just drink and like have a
Well,
fun time? And
that's it.
that's what he was on.
Well, technically, Tommy, it's a celebration of life. It's not the celebration of the death. It's the
Yeah,
life of the person that they're celebrating.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's like just thinking that dude would probably be partying too. So he
Yes.
would he would want you all to be having fun. Don't be crying.
Definitely. I mean, are you aware of, I know culturally wise, um, it's normally the pallbearers and the grave will already be pre-dug and stuff. So like for instance, like in South America and stuff and in Africa, is that something that they would do culturally as well? Is it would that kind of style as they did in Jamaica?
You mean like a more traditional funeral?
Yeah.
I was told because that was a grave digging, and then the actual funeral was supposed to happen afterward. But I don't know. According to what they told me, that's just as relaxed by our standards. Uh, I'm sure they got like a little more serious at some point, like they'd
Yeah.
read last rites and whatnot,
Mhm.
or whatever you call it, before you're about to put the coffin in. But yeah, no, it's still pretty relaxed.
Yes, indeed. And did you get a chance to partake in any of the moonshine, or did you just have like the rare nephew and stuff and
Oh,
Appleton?
the moonshine. Yeah. Are you of Jamaican descent by any chance?
Caribbean, so Montserrat and Saint Kitts.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I gotta check those out too. Um, I believe so. I don't think I got anything like straight out of a barrel or anything like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
There was a few times, including at that grave digging, where they just handed me a drink, and I was like, I'm not gonna question this. Uh, Also things that were wrapped up for me to smoke. Just went with it.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course, as you do.
don't want to ask too many questions.
Hmm.
But everybody was awesome. And the best place for moonshine is still Africa. Like every single country there, uh, there was always something. And people started to like ask me if I'm an alcoholic for like going and checking after these moonshines, but it's just there's always one, and it's very interesting. Uh,
Yes.
and it's always a good excuse to like go to a village or go away into the countryside. So yeah, you can expect a bit more of that in the coming months, I think.
Definitely. I mean, as you say, countryside, that is where you're going to get the premium moonshine or the Dranko Bati, whatever they want to call it. That is going to be the best place, even though it might have the odd spider in there or something.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, sometimes like when I was in Uganda, drinking some of the stuff they gave me there, like everybody was like, you could have gone blind drinking that. I was like, really? Well, it was all right when I had it, but
Well,
I should have
that is an
had it.
excellent segue into like, because you have I'm very, very picky in regards to food. Now,
Yeah.
I have seen you eat, Tommy, in some places where I'm like, You're not gonna eat there, are you? You really not?" And you just talk, you're chowing down. And rarely, only a few times I've heard you saying, "This isn't the nicest." Well, I might just leave this to the side. Generally, it's like, "Yeah, no, this is nice. This is like." Are
Yeah.
you like just like a connoisseur for all types of food in essence?
Um, I guess you could say that. I'm a connoisseur for experiences, I guess,
Yes.
more than anything. Um, but yeah, I do like want to try different stuff. And especially when people are offering you stuff, it's really hard to turn it down.
Hmm.
And usually I'm surprised more often than not. What's a good example of that? Like, for example, in Rwanda, when I was in the countryside, and I think at the end of one of the videos, we all sit down and have like a nice little meal and whatnot. Uh, yeah, for a lot of people, that might have looked, I don't know, kind of weird because especially the way we're just like cooking,
Yes.
like all these weird like pots and stuff, like right
Hmm.
outside the doorway and whatnot. Looks kind of weird, but it was a pretty good meal. And I try to do like a minimum to check that it's like at least a little bit clean. I don't
Yes.
want like
Yes. Well,
I'm not like
that's my concern. That is my concern. Like, it's not necessarily yourself, but I see some guys, and there's flies like running all over the food and stuff, and the guy's picking it up with his hands, and it's like, my God, you must have like a real strong belly to deal with all that stuff.
yeah. That's a good point. I don't know if I have any like real advantages with my stomach, but
We haven't been
maybe
ill though.
maybe I'm good at avoiding like getting sick from it, but
Yes.
possible. Uh, but I
Uh,
just try to follow like a few basic guidelines
yes.
when encountering strange food. Just try to like ask a few questions about how it was cooked, and then just look at it. If it's like has a weird smell or color, then yeah, maybe pass on that. But you know,
Yes.
otherwise,
Politely,
there's more
like.
there's more things that are acceptable than you would think.
Oh yes, very much so. I mean, especially as you say in the continent of Africa. I mean, in some parts of they partake in the bushmeat and stuff, which is supposed to be
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, yeah. There's much crazier stuff that I haven't even gotten to.
Mm.
When I was out with the Maasai in Tanzania, they were happy to bring up how they were like drinking blood out of a
Oh
cup every
yeah.
morning, and the one guy was like, "Oh, it's delicious." And I missed the opportunity to try that, but I may have possibly made an excuse. I don't know to back out of that one. There's at least one or two videos of people doing that on YouTube.
Mm,
Um, and
that's yeah.
there's a lot of wild stuff, and no spoilers intended. I will be back to Africa fairly soon, and yeah, what happens is I just don't know what to expect when I get there. I have like minimum research done. But then you show up there, and especially when you go to like these villages or tribes or whatnot,
Mhm.
then they just whip out bush meat, and you're like, whoa, okay.
Okay.
Didn't come here planning to have that, but let's just roll with it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what we can let's see if we can make some lemonade out of some of these lemons potentially, or some of these orange.
Yeah, yeah. Just,
Mm,
go in and don't think too hard about it.
definitely. I mean, let's go to your love of languages and your ease in in conversion. Yeah. Uh, was this all self-taught, or did you go to college or university for these language skills?
Oh yeah. That's a good thing to talk about because that's a really frequent question and comment I get. And I'm actually planning a video pretty soon talking about it. But basically, um, when I was about 17 or maybe 18, around then, I was very unfocused and I just got on to learning Arabic actually. And
Which is
for
very
some
difficult.
reason, yeah, that little did I know that was actually probably the worst language to start with because It's just, it has so many things about it that are extremely frustrating. It's like the most frustrating language. But soon after that, I decided to pick up Spanish too, which is, you know, a little more relaxing, a little more fun. Uh, and I don't know, I just got hooked. And there was just something about the idea of learning something, and it almost served as like a key to these different
Yes.
countries. I viewed it
Yes.
as like a passport to
Mm-hmm.
going to these different nations,
Mm.
because I would get access to talking to all these different people, and I just thought that was amazing. So it provided a lot of motivation, and I, you know, I like to make a game out of things,
Mm-hmm.
so I would just like challenge myself to like keep learning every day. But basically, it's all self-taught. Like I took Spanish in high school, like most Americans, and I don't think I learned anything. So, don't think the method they were using just grabbed me for whatever reason. But yeah, it's different strokes for different folks, apparently.
Yes.
So yeah, once I changed like my outlook on it, and yeah, like I said, like I, you know, tried to make it into a game, then it became a lot more fun. And it's not like it just came to me magically or anything. I actually do like put the hours in.
Mm-hmm.
If you like going to the gym or something like that, you know, if you put in a certain number of hours,
Yeah.
then you know you'll get this amount better at the language. And when you're first starting out learning a language, it's really tricky. You don't know
It
what to do
is.
exactly. You
Yeah.
don't know what to focus on, so you end up wasting a bunch of time. But with experience, and especially after learning multiple languages, you learn what to focus on. And at this point, I have it down to like science. You
So
know,
give us
like
some tips and give us some tips because I'm currently learning Española at a very slow pace. So what would be some give me like three give us sorry some three tips to kind of like hone into to get to grasp the language quicker maybe.
yeah, I like how you added us. I will try to help you for your next vacation in Mexico. Um, let's see. I well, um, especially if you're just starting out. Um, One of the most important things to remember is at this point in 2022, there are so many free resources and so many fun free resources that is mind-boggling at this point. So you can just go on your phone, you can download like multiple different language apps, like Duolingo, Busuu, like this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And there's a good chance you can learn this language up to a speakable level just doing that. That's not enough, to be honest. But like what you really need to do is you just need to learn the important words.
Yeah.
There's like you can even find like lists of this, but I don't recommend using a word list. Just try to be natural.
Mhm.
Learn the important words, learn the important grammar, and then as soon as you can, try to like
Converse.
speak to native speakers.
Yeah.
And the absolute best way to do this, if you can, is have a teacher. There's, for example, websites where you can find a teacher for like an hour, italki.com, stuff like that. If that's too expensive, then you can use these language exchange websites where you can just instantly find people from around the world. That's that works pretty well too, although you might find like a bunch of people that are flaky and they just disappear
Yeah.
for no
Yeah.
reason. But it works. And yeah, you got to also just get over the fear of speaking, because that's actually the hardest thing when you
Mhm.
first start out learning languages, because you think you're going to sound like an idiot and you are probably. uh, I have sounded like an idiot so many times that I've lost count.
Yeah.
And but it's fine, because then you realize you get there and people really don't mind. They know you're trying to learn their language, and
Yes.
they really appreciate it. Some
Exactly.
countries appreciate it more than others, but
What would you
are,
what do you mean by that?
actually I should rephrase that. Some countries are just more expressive in how they appreciate
Ah,
you learning their language. I think, for example, like the Dutch and the Norwegians are just as appreciative as you learning their languages as anyone else, but you know they're a little more reserved.
very much so.
Um,
Yes.
but but then you go to Tanzania and learn Swahili, and everybody's like, "Whoa, you're learning Swahili? Why did you
Mm,
choose to do this? I don't care. It's amazing."
yes.
Uh, and it's a lot of fun. The Chinese also, they're just they're always so complimentary. If you like learn their language, they're very, very kind about it. There's people that have now made like an entire channel shocking Chinese people.
Yes, exactly. I've seen a couple of them, and you're right. That out of all of the nations of sorts, those are the most surprised when they see foreigners conversing fluently in Mandarin, etc. It's
Yeah.
I guess because it's again, you can correct me obviously because you can speak this, but again, for me, I haven't tried to learn it, but it sounds very hard language to vocalize.
Yeah, it has tones, which is a completely alien concept to anyone that's never learned the language of tones. But yeah, it's almost like you're singing a song with each word.
Mm.
Very basically like
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's so unnatural to an English speaker that yeah, it takes some work to get used to that, and you can't mess it up. It's not like some languages where you actually can kind of just flub up the pronunciation
Hmm.
and you'll still be understood. Yeah, there's a few languages like Russian that come to mind where you can mess up the pronunciation and it's fine. But Chinese, if you mess up the pronunciation, then you're literally saying a different word.
Wow.
So yeah, you got to put some practice into it. But like anything else, and a good thing to keep in mind if you're learning a language is like you won't get fluent immediately, but if you just keep practicing, I promise you will.
Yes.
And it just with exposure, it's not rocket science. It's
Hmm.
not like the hardest thing in the world to do. Like you just got to put the hours in. There's even a list somewhere. It's a commonly cited list by I think the Foreign Service Institute, where they show like how many hours it would take for you to get like speaking fluent in a language.
Okay.
And if you just Google it, it'll surely pop up. And like the Romance languages like Spanish and
Hmm.
French are something like 600 hours, whereas Chinese is like some crazy number, like
Yeah.
2,500. But yeah, you don't have to get intimidated by that because like in within those hours could be lots of hours of talking to fun people.
This
So,
is it. Yeah, yeah. It does. Language truly does open up your mind and your horizons, and it breaks down so many barriers, as you say, when you're taking those vacations and you can converse, even if it's just saying the basics of please and thank you. How are you doing? Where
yeah.
is this? Just the basics. It's like, oh, they're over here. At least they're trying, kind of thing. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point actually, because yeah, I'm talking about like getting fluent in the language. But even if you just learn the basics, that goes a really long way. And you can actually learn more of the basics than you might think, like
Hmm.
asking like how much something costs, I don't know, complimenting people, stuff like
Yes.
that. And yeah, I this is something that I actually think everybody should really do before going to
Yeah.
a country where they speak a different language. At least spend a few hours, learning the greetings and
Mm.
like some common vocabulary, because it goes a long way. And granted, in many countries now, there will almost always be some waiter or something that speaks English.
Exactly.
Um, but
It's
like I said,
lazy. It's
people
lazy.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a much better global citizen when you do that. And people, like I said, in certain countries, people will love you for it. So
Totally, totally. It'll just bring that smile. Oh my God, this is the second person who's come in and they can speak at least have said
yeah,
hello and greeted me kind of thing. And yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just imagine you're just some random shopkeeper or whatever, and some guy comes in speaking your language. You're like, whoa, that's the most interesting thing that happened to me this week.
this is
You know,
it.
so
It's those little things. This is again another thing that we try and highlight having these conversations. It's these little things that could be a big thing to somebody who's having a terrible day. The fact that, and you go in and you've just done that one thing, and now
yeah,
the outlook on that person's day is totally different. Like there are some good people.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great thing to keep in mind. And a lot like one thing that probably helps me like not get into too serious of a situation is just knowing that everybody has their own shit going on. Everybody is going through some potential situation So if somebody responds in like a less than friendly way, I'll just be like, all right, you got your own problems going on.
Mm.
But like you said, if you could speak a little bit of their language, if you can like crack a joke or something, people tend to lighten up a bit.
Definitely, definitely remove the barriers, even on the other person's side, as you being a tourist, they might have a view of you being, they're just tourists, they don't even care, they just think that they've got all this money because their currency is higher than ours and blah, blah, blah. But, you have
Yeah.
that conversation, break that barrier down. Oh, no, they're working just as hard to have that trip to come over, and have a bit of a taste of my culture. So I'll appreciate it. Not all of them will have access to loads and loads of money because let's not get it twisted. I mean, some people do have the idea because you come from a first world that you can just throw money away kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was especially apparent when I first started out making these videos because yeah, I was like barely having enough money to like continue traveling when I was in Mexico and Tanzania. And people are just assuming like I got tons of money. To be honest, this is more of a thing I would say in Africa and maybe some countries in Asia. South America, surprisingly, as I've tried to show, they're just incredibly generous. Like
Yes.
they don't really ask for anything. Um, but especially in Africa, yeah, like you have to get used to like a lot of people asking you and expecting that you must have a bunch of money.
Hmm.
And it, especially now that thankfully I got like a little bit more money to spend on these trips. Yeah, as long as they're nice about it, I'm more
Yes.
likely than not to like try and
Hmm.
help them out. But if they're just kind of rude or aggressive or just I
You
don't
can see, yeah, totally. I mean, you can see genuine people. I
know.
mean, don't get it wrong. There are some scammers out
Yeah,
there. Unfortunately, there are a lot of scammers out there, but generally, we can see the goodness in people. And if you're in a position to help, by all means.
yeah,
But it can't be
yeah.
on a like a minute by minute basis. We can't help the world, unfortunately.
Yeah, same thing with yeah, also yeah, with like markets and stuff like that. As long as they're giving me the real price, I'm more than happy to buy it. But if they're gonna like upcharge me like $30 or something, I don't care how much money I have. That's still gonna be
Yes,
offensive. Uh
totally.
and if I actually bought that, all the Africans in my comments would insult me for doing that. So
What are you doing?
they love to point that out like every time I get like upsold like $1. I'm like, what can I say? It's tough.
Yeah, foreigner price. They just see it. They just smell you coming like, oh, here we go. Yeah, how much
Yeah,
can I get away with this time, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You got to be ready. I mean, yeah, for anyone who's planning to travel to Africa, it is a bit of an adventure for some of the countries.
Mhm.
You'll meet incredibly friendly people, but when you're going to like the market and whatnot, you got to have your wits about you.
Definitely. And you met I can't remember the young lady's name. What was the young lady? And you took her on another trip. You took her to another country, another part of Africa.
Oh, you're talking about Josie?
Josie,
Yeah,
that's it. She was
yeah,
so nice. She's
yeah. She may be coming back pretty soon, hopefully. Um,
excellent.
but yeah, she was awesome. And yeah, actually having her around was really great because at times there was things that I did not understand that was going on that goes
Okay.
beyond language,
Yeah.
like in terms of like pricing or
Hmm.
bribery or stuff like that. And
Oh
then she would
gosh.
be there to provide like the local perspective. And then even though she's not from Nigeria, there's a world of difference between Nigeria and East Africa, by
Oh,
the way.
of course. East and
Yeah,
West Africa, major differences. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
yeah, that's a common misconception. Like these countries are very, very different. They even like look different and everything.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, you get in Nigeria, there was still enough commonalities and whatnot where she could help out on. And she also like I think kind of well at times she inflames situations, but she also diffuses them because like
Yes.
she knows how to like get the humor like sometimes when I don't. So yeah,
Yes, Nigeria, it was a very busy, bustling place.
there's nowhere like Nigeria in the world. Like that is that is the most intense country I've ever been to.
Mm,
I'll say I want to go back. I really enjoyed the adventure there and everything. And Nigerians, like if you go there, they'll be like, you got to go to the east too. You got to go to the north. I'll try and get back there. Hopefully.
yes, there's just so many places. There's so many places. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess as you said, as you alluded to at the start, you do plan to go back to Africa very soon. You said.
Yeah, that's the plan actually. Not gonna say when exactly, but
Yeah.
very soon. I'm gonna go to some new parts of Africa. And I'll hopefully revisit some of the old ones too, because like I constantly get comments like, "Oh, you got to come back to Tanzania, you got to come back to Kenya,"
Yeah.
and there's an endless number of things to do in these countries. So, I got that.
Exactly.
That wouldn't be a problem.
And
Just
I think
gotta,
you're doing a good thing as well. I mean, you're showing, and you're not intentionally like this. There's people who just specifically go to bad areas within the countries, and they're doing it to highlight. Look, I'm a tourist, and I'm in a
yeah,
quote unquote. So I understand, that element of it, but you're showing that it's okay to go outside of the hotel.
yeah,
Outside of the resorts, you can go and mix with the locals. Nothing's gonna happen. It's safe.
yeah, yeah. I for the most part, like at the same time, I really don't want to like BS anyone. I try to give like a complete picture of
Mhm.
the country. But what that ends up showing usually is that there's a bunch of nice people. There's also like scammers and whatnot, but
Of
these
course.
are not the majority of the people.
Mhm.
They're just gonna find you,
Yeah.
like if you're in public. But yeah, it's you have to like leave your hotel and you got to leave the guided tours and whatnot, because there's so much to do. And I think getting out of the big cities, that's usually a lot less stressful for a
Mhm.
lot of people, I would say, especially in South America. Like Brazil, people usually assume that Brazil is just horrendously dangerous everywhere.
No.
Uh, but you go to the countryside, it's probably safer than America in most
Yeah.
places.
Mhm.
So it really depends on where you're at. But yeah, just go out with an open mind. Don't be too gullible. But
That's the key thing. And unfortunately, I mean, most people in the tri-state are quite savvy and street smart, quote unquote. There is
yeah,
a minority who aren't, but generally, if you don't grow up in those kind of environments and you don't have that quote unquote street smart, you're gonna have to develop it very quickly if you want to, venture outside of the resorts, and see the
yeah,
real country that you're in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit probably intimidating for a lot of people at first. Yeah, I think I said it probably in my videos, like when I first went to Tanzania, I've just been like listening to legacy media and like all this stuff up until then. I mean,
Mhm.
I did my own research, but then just walking around in the city, I was like, oh, well, what's gonna happen to me?
Yeah.
But then you soon realize that while it's not 100% safe, like with some proper precautions, not even like that many, like you're gonna be fine. And yeah, a lot of the precautions that you might take are probably the same,
You would take it home.
like in a big city in the US.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to go walking into like East New York at like 9 p.m. or whatever, generally speaking. So the same thing in Dar es Salaam, you're not going to go to like the slums at night. Uh, and you just, keep an eye on your phone. And some of the African countries especially are actually a lot safer than most people would assume.
Yeah.
For example, I think there's a higher chance of being robbed with a gun in the United States than there are in Tanzania or Kenya. Um, South America, that's a different story.
Oh
But
yeah,
like,
of course. With their
for you,
motorbikes.
yeah, that's But like Uganda, these countries, like for like most people don't even have guns, right?
Yeah.
So like the worst you probably have to deal with is there's a lot of like phone snatchers and whatnot. If you go like
Yeah.
downtown Nairobi, stuff like that. But I don't know, having your phone snatched instead of being robbed with the gun is like way less emotionally scarring, I think.
Less trauma, most definitely. It's unfortunate. It's a part of this tumultuous, crazy but beautiful world that we live in. That we have these parallels of good people mixed with a sprinkle of bad people. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, legacy media and others showed the bad people to be
yeah,
the majority when they're clearly not.
yeah. I mean, in my experiences, it's what I've, again, maybe unintentionally been showing is there are obviously good people in all sectors of
Mhm.
society, and there's also annoying assholes in all sectors of society.
Yes.
So, there's if you go to like quote unquote rich areas or go to like exclusive areas, you'll generally meet more unfriendly people. It's like you might get like consumer wise a nicer experience and whatnot. Um, but yeah, that has its own challenges and annoyances. Generally, when you go out to the villages or even like the lower income neighborhoods or whatnot, the proportion of people who are just incredibly friendly
Yeah.
and just like giving you stuff for no reason,
Mm.
it just rises dramatically. Uh, and then in the middle class, I don't know, everybody's just surviving, I guess. But there's
Yeah.
obviously tons of nice people there too. So it's yeah, just got to like keep that in mind. Not everybody is out to get you, and
Well,
there's like
yeah.
bad people in different parts of society.
100% agree. 100% agree. It's as I always reflect and say, it's a interesting time to be alive. You have to really number one, focus on yourself to make yourself the best version of you every single day. And that's the first thing. But it's these experiences that we have and that we're going to have, which are going to make us trustfully better people, a more holistic people, and not so quick to look at someone and think, oh, because they're wearing that uniform potentially, or they look that in that manner, I've got this
Yeah,
predisposed kind of idea of what that person is.
yeah. Uh, I mean, like if people can, I know it's not easy for everyone, but yeah, the most valuable thing you could do in terms of just making you a more relaxed person, and it has like a host of other benefits, is going to a radically different country.
Mm,
So, if you're from the UK or America, go to Africa, go to China, go to India, and just experience that. And I mean, if you can even better, like live there for a period of time,
yeah.
even like 6 months will do it, like your perspective will change so much. It's just, you will understand because, before doing that, you almost unintentionally, you just like view other countries like another planet. It's
Yes.
like they just have these alien lifestyles and whatnot. And then you go there and you kind of adapt and you start to think, whoa, okay, like my country does weird stuff too.
Mm,
You come back home and you realize, like, whoa, why do we have to like tip all the time in America? Like, why
yeah.
doesn't any other country do this?
Hmm.
Like you just, you have like these questions and you get like a more objective view of your own
Yes.
country. And that ultimately makes you a better person because, if you're not too nationalistic, you're more agreeable, you're more friendly.
Totally. And again, there's nothing wrong. America is a wonderful place. It's a beautiful, the topography of America. It's just as the world, we have, people in power in positions that make decisions which aren't
Yeah.
necessarily always good for the people. This is what the problem is. Not necessarily the country or the nations that have these titles given to them.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. And most of the people living in these countries do not have direct control or anything close to that
Mhm.
over the decisions of their leaders. Um, and inevitably, people are going to vote in people that do annoying stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be some countries around the world with relatively good governments. Pretty sure the Scandinavian countries never have that many problems. Uh,
That we
uh,
hear of at least.
yeah, that you ever hear of. Singapore and Rwanda are almost like paradises, but you just got to ignore the whole dictatorship thing. Uh,
Yeah,
but
that's a
but
good point. That's a good point. That is, yeah.
for democracies, like it's a democracy, so you're gonna get something crazy or annoying in there that you're not gonna like at some point, and you just got
The
to deal with it, I guess.
yeah, the illusion of the mob rule, democracy. It's the
Yeah.
wordplay is just wonderful. So sabbatical, have you learnt Latin? I take it.
Surprisingly not. No. I'm kind of biased towards languages that I could speak to people.
Yes, of
And
course.
it's nothing against people that learn Latin. I know that's a common high school subject.
Yeah.
But why do you ask that?
No, because I hear a lot. It's very much a mother language to most language, Latin.
Oh yeah. Um, if you wanted to go ahead and learn Spanish or Italian or French, like these all came from Latin, so it would
Mhm.
surely help with that. Although I will add, in case you don't want to do that, you could also just learn Spanish or French or whatever, and then that also makes the other ones easier. It's yeah, you actually can get like bonuses on other languages if they're
Yeah.
related, you know. So there's like it's kind of a misconception, but it's also kind of true. If you learn Spanish, you can basically learn Portuguese really easy.
Portuguese, yeah. Yeah, I was just about to say that. That's a very good example.
Yeah, it definitely helps a lot. You will arrive in Brazil and still not understand most of what they're saying, but it'll give you like a huge first step towards learning that language.
My difficulties, and when I speak to Espaniola speaking friends, it's the speed, and this it's they're saying stuff, and I'm processing 3 words behind because the speed
Yeah.
in which they're talking is so quick, and I understand because the words are so long that you've got to get them out quickly to get the sentence out. I just find that a major challenge.
Yeah. A fun fact that Spanish is literally the fastest spoken language in the world. So yeah, it's not. I mean, granted, it's not that huge of a difference between Spanish and English, but yeah, the only advice I can give is it's like it's like any kind of skill. You just
Mhm.
have to keep doing it. And I had exactly the same thoughts. Like especially in the early days, I'm like, how the hell am I ever going to understand this? It's like, which is doubly frustrating after like learning the grammar and the vocabulary, and you're like, oh, I should be done now. I
Yeah,
should be ready. I should understand everything, but you're not even close to being there yet. Not to be discouraged,
yeah, yeah,
but like, again, the most fun part is actually talking to people. So that's when that begins.
definitely. Yeah, and that's the
And
goal. Oh,
yeah, the more you do that, um, the easier it gets. And a good hack for that is, I mean, if you can find like decent TV shows and stuff. But yeah, watch TV shows or movies or whatnot in that language. Pretty sure like at this point on Netflix, you can just change the language.
yes.
And like that's a good, easy way if you're not actually in that country, you know?
Mm,
And do it enough, and slowly but surely it will become more and more understandable. If you want
yes.
to like make it even more difficult, you could try to learn Argentinian Spanish, where they sound like Italians, that is like completely alien to all the other Spanish speakers.
You did mention that. So is it the fact that is it like an additional dialect? Because I mean, you've got the Castillo Española, and then you've got obviously the Latin, well, the Latin America Española. What is that classed as?
So it's all the same language. In Spain, I think Castilian refers to the actual Spanish language, and they do that because they got like Catalan and like these other languages in
Yes.
the country. But yeah, it's all the same. But in Argentina, they have like this one difference that they share with a few other groups in the other countries, where they use vos instead of tú. So that's like a whole new verb tense. Um, and then they don't use vosotros like Spain, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, lots of little stuff like this. But and then
you're
the Argentinian accent, it's just kind of funny. Like if you learn that, it's like learning English with like a Scottish accent or something, which it's kind of unorthodox, but like it'll
So
stand out.
yes, indeed. So from what I'm gathering by that analogy, it's Spanish, but the pronunciation of the words are going to be different, and also, as you say, they're adding other words into the vocabulary as well.
Yeah, generally speaking, not just Argentina, but all the different countries, they usually have their own slang, and then they'll have like their own local word. It doesn't change that much, but it'll trip you up when
Yeah.
you first go there. But yeah, these are things you have to deal with. These are
Yeah.
actually probably the biggest challenges you have when learning a language, just getting used to listening to it and dealing with slang,
Yeah.
because we all use it
Mhm,
basically.
mhm. And depending on where you are, the slang will be different. So you could think you're using a slang, and you go to another part, and it's like, well, what are you talking about, senor?
Yeah, like if you go to any Latin American country and you bring up like cursing, you'll probably meet like some dude who will sit you down and just be like, "All right, I'm gonna teach you all the curse words now, like puta, puta, puta."
Puto.
And he'll give you like every combination of that, and then he'll just expect you to now understand like all the cursing and slang in that language. But
Oh, of course, because
uh,
you've got masculine and feminine for each term, don't you?
yeah, there's like grammar again. It's annoying. It's not as bad as like people think, but it's there.
Yeah. How are you getting on with learning the oh god, the South American, but it's like an island, the Caribbean islands, and they speak that Dutch kind of. It's like about three different languages kind of mixed together.
Oh yeah.
Faruna, what's it called
Oh,
again?
in Suriname, talking about
Yeah,
maybe, yeah, because that's the Dutch speaking one. Yeah, that's a wild country linguistically. Yeah, because Dutch is the official language and they speak it in the city, but then they have like this other language running alongside it that's like
yeah.
a mix of English and Dutch and African languages, and then they got like the local languages, like the Indian community still has
Of
like a version
course,
of Hindi,
yes.
and then the Indonesians got their own thing, and then the Africans or the descendants of Africans have like their own thing. Yeah, it's pretty
It's
crazy.
a mix. So, Sabbatical, did you see any of the indigenous tribes? Did you see any Afro-indigenous tribes, or did you see more of the, I guess, would Mexican? I guess would that be the best way to describe them? Mexican looking?
You mean like in Mexico or
No, when you was in Suriname?
oh, in Suriname? Yeah, like probably my favorite trip or like the most interesting one that I did was I went to visit these people called the Maroons. You actually have people who have the same name, the Maroons, in Jamaica and like I think a few other Caribbean
Yes.
countries. Uh, and it refers to anyone who is the descendant of escaped slaves.
Yeah, runaway slaves. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
what's unique in Suriname is that they escaped so long ago that it happened so early that they ended up maintaining their languages and their traditions from West Africa. So
And
it's
they've got the chiefs on there. That's from when you took that long boat all the way to those islands.
yeah.
Yes, I recall it now. Yeah.
My only regret with that trip was because it was impossible to like learn that language that
Hmm.
quickly.
Hmm.
So it was kind of hard to talk to a lot of them, but it was still really crazy. Like that one village, they weren't even Christian. They had like animist shrines and stuff like that.
Yes.
And like, yeah, the chief told me like, yeah, they, they've been doing this for like 400 years. This is what the traditions they brought from West Africa.
Yeah. That's so interesting that we've still got those still isolated pockets, and the fact that it's still so. I mean, the boat is the main method of transportation, right?
Yeah, it's like a highway, but with boats.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. You would just see kids like going to school on the boats,
Mm.
school bus. Yeah, it was wild. There's literally, because most of Suriname is technically the Amazon rainforest.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you just reach a point where the road ends. And that's like not even halfway into the country. The rest of the way, you have to use rivers. That's the only means of transportation.
Because Suriname is a huge place, isn't it? It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's a pretty big country. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on. It's not like as big as Brazil, but yeah, it's like from the capital, Paramaribo,
Yeah.
down to some of the indigenous villages in the south.
Hmm.
Yeah, it could take you like a day to like get down there. So more if it's in a boat, I think.
Yeah. Good couple
So yeah,
days. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. The wonders of this plane of existence that we're on.
yeah.
So as we wind this conversation down, so I know your time is precious. What other places have we got on the wish list or the bucket list that you'd like to go to?
Oh yeah, I could easily say like the whole world with that. But when I started this YouTube channel, I specifically had in mind going to Africa, Latin America, and China. China is the only one that unfortunately I don't think that will happen anytime soon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
way too locked down. Uh, but these are like three places that people usually have wrong assumptions about or misconceptions.
Yeah.
So I, really wanted to go and check them out. So definitely more countries in Africa. I said I would try to get to every country, and not lying about that.
That would be
Uh,
fun. That would be fun.
yeah, there's plenty of crazy ones still to come, and plenty of really beautiful ones as well.
And I like the
And
way that you put it's not just the vlog, because a lot of the times you'll go and discuss historical information about the places that you're in as well, just to give some context to why things are the way they are.
yeah, like I don't want to like throw shade at other vloggers or whatever, but when they just pop into these places with no context at all, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that because I'm like, yeah, why is it why is it like this?
Yeah.
It like and it helps to give like a better understanding, I feel. So yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that people enjoy like these historical tidbits and whatnot, because like I love stuff like that. I try to like
Yes.
read about the country and get to know it better. And there's always like so many interesting little facts that you can drop. Like the stuff in Suriname, as we were just talking about,
Yeah.
stuff that's like mind-boggling. But you have to do like a little bit of research to find out about it.
History. Well, if it's not done, if we don't bring it to life as you're doing, via the popular means of YouTube, that who else is going to think, actually, you know what? That looked really interesting. Let me look at this place. I might even want to go there and actually go on vacation, maybe, or I'll just stick to maybe buying a few books, watching some documentaries, and really getting to, understand these people.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, like watching a straight educational video, like that's like being force fed information. It may not
Hmm.
be as fun. I think if you're on like a fun trip and then you like
Yeah.
you learn little things along the way, that's the best way to learn, I feel.
Mm, definitely.
If you just take like a look at my channel for like 5 seconds, I don't know, it may look like I'm just going on crazy adventures and like going to favelas or something. But no, I try to help people learn about different countries along the way.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Um, how did the link up take place with you and Ace? Ace
Oh,
Live, is it?
all right, yeah. I think he's in Venezuela or Colombia now.
Mm,
Um, yeah, like we were just in Argentina at the same time, and people writing comments like Ace Live is there. And I was like, "Oh, I guess it's true." And
ah,
then yeah, I contacted him and he was like, yeah, sure. Let's hang out. It was actually the video that we made, that was actually my very last night there. So I was like,
ah,
it almost didn't happen, but I
no.
was like, that's why it's yeah, just kind of randomly would show up at a bar. All
Indeed,
right. I
indeed.
think he was already there. So I was like, all right, I'll just come meet you there. And
He's got some energy he has, man. He's got some energy.
definitely has a lot of energy. Yeah.
With that, and again, I will give Ace Live a salute as well. I have thoroughly enjoyed his excursions searching for the Afro communities within South America as well. I found them thoroughly educational and enjoyable to watch as well.
Yeah. Yeah. He's made some pretty interesting videos lately. He had one about La Boca
Mm.
in Argentina also. That was a neighborhood I wanted to go to, but he covered it pretty well. I think he was in a music video too or something. I don't remember how it went, but really good video.
I'll check it out. I might have missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last two questions for you then, sir. Oh, actually, no, I've got one more for you. I've got three questions for you as we wind this down.
One or three.
Musically wise, what kind of music are you into, sir?
Oh, okay. To be honest, I really like to just get to the country and then listen to the local artists. So like I'll ask people to recommend me stuff. But I guess like in general, especially when I'm back in the US, like rock and rap, I would say.
The two
Go back and forth.
R's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say like more rap if I'm trying to like work out or something.
Okay. Okay.
Rock is good for long drives.
Oh yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah. Music to
Yeah.
drive to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Have you had fun today?
Oh, it's been wonderful. Had the time of my life.
Excellent, excellent. Please, very last one for you then, sir. Please tell us who you are, but do not tell us your name.
What do you mean by that one?
This is one where you've got to put your thinking cap on, sir. So in essence, describe who, if someone was going to say, Tommy, he is.
Yeah. All right. Tommy is a strange American person who travels the world, likes to learn languages, likes to meet people, and would be very happy to have a beer with you if we happen to be in the same area.
Excellent. And very lastly, please throw out all your social medias and your YouTube channel, and I will make sure I put links below in the description, sir.
Sure. Sabbatical is the channel on YouTube. My Instagram is Tommy El Forastero. I should probably change that. That's pretty hard to type, but Tommy El Forastero. And then I think if you search sabbatical on Instagram, that works too. And I actually just set up a thing on Facebook. Not a big Facebook user anymore, but somebody recommended I do it. So you can find me on there as well. I'll be releasing shorter versions of the videos from YouTube on there.
Excellent. As I say, I will make sure I put the link below in the description. If this is the first time you've come across Tommy, most definitely click the YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure you'll be binging on the videos for quite some time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and most definitely share.
Yeah. Don't miss your work there or anything, but yeah, there's plenty of stuff to watch,
Yeah. Make sure we get the balance of work and watching the content right. So yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, you got to save up that money to go on a trip of your own. So want to be a healthy influence.
Definitely. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.